Now that we have an idea of the comparison operators that are available to us, let's take a look at logical operators that allow us to do multiple tests. For example, I've got a little boy, very cute little boy, who is very soon going to become interested in when we go to an amusement park and riding rides, right? And he's still pretty short. I don't know how tall he is exactly. Let's say 3 feet something, 3 feet 4 inches, something like that. He's not going to be able to ride some rides, and there's going to be restrictions. There's also people who are so tall that they have trouble riding the rides because the rides aren't built for someone of their size. They're built for kind of a sweet spot in order to keep people safe. You don't just want to be sliding out of the cart, right? So let's create a new Java program, public class, and this will be logical fun, public static. Okay, so logical fun. So we want to create a program that allows the user to enter an age, and I'll just, for now, just say int age equals, I don't know why I'm back to age. See, I got age on the mind. We don't want age, we want height. Height in inches. Let's height in inches. And set it equal to 3'6", which is 42 inches, right? So that's the height. And we have a restriction that if the height in inches is, where should we go first? Whether they can ride or can't. Let's go can. So if the height in inches is greater than, let's say you have to be at least 4 feet tall to ride the ride. Well, that would be 48 inches. Okay. So if the height in inches is greater than, or let's throw in our equal to, so if the height in inches is greater than or equal to 48, then system.out.println you can ride. Okay, and let's just well, let's leave it at that for now. So if we compile, and we'll need to save it and compile and then run it, then it's not going to print out anything because we didn't get into that if statement, that this condition is not met. The result of this statement, the evaluation of it is that is height in inches greater than or equal to 48? No, it's not, and so the result is false, and so it won't print this statement. So, whoops. So let's add on an else. So else system.out.println sorry, you can't ride. Alright, so now it's going to print out and tell my poor son that he can't ride the ride. He's not tall enough. Okay? But if I put in a value that is 50, then now I can ride because 50 is greater than or equal to 48. The result of this expression is true, and so we can ride, right? Well, what about the other restriction? What if you're too tall? If you're over, let's say, I don't know what, 7 feet tall, you can't ride the ride. It's not built for you. And so we have to have another condition on this. Now, how do we do that? Let's think about it for a minute. Using what we have available to us, we can say, okay, so if the height was greater than or equal to 48, then we can build another if statement and say if the height in inches is less than or equal to, well, so if they're 7 feet tall, they can't ride. So what's 7 times 12? That's going to be 84, right? That would be embarrassing to be doing math wrong here on these videos where it's recorded for all of humanity to see. So if the height in inches is less than 84, then you can ride. So this is a nested if statement is what we call it. We've got an if statement inside an if statement. So the one if statement gets us inside this condition, and then we can have another if statement saying if the height in inches now that we verified that it's over 48 or equal to it, now let's verify that it's under 84. So let's see what happens here. Alright, so it tells us that we can ride because the value of 50 is greater than or equal to 48, and it's less than 84. So it's met both of those conditions. It got in here first, and then it gets in this one because it met those conditions, and it tells us we can ride, right? And we can do that. We can do an if statement inside an if statement. That's totally fine. But we have what is called a logical operator that allows us to test two conditions, or many more than that. We can test as many as we want to, I guess. But we can test two conditions. So instead of doing this, we can instead accomplish the same thing, the same task, by coming into our if statement and saying if the height in inches is greater than or equal to 48, and, now what I want to say here is and. Well, and doesn't mean anything to Java. What we use for the and is two ampersands. Two ampersands is the same thing as an and. So let me put that up here just as a note. So 2 ampersands equals an and. That's what we're accomplishing here, is saying this condition is true, and then whatever condition I put over here needs to be true. Both conditions need to be true in order for the statement to be true. Okay? So what is the condition? Well, a lot of people will try and do this. They'll say if the height in inches is greater than or equal to 48 and it's less than 84. And they'll get an error. And the reason we get an error is because we haven't said what is less than 84. Now, just reading it out loud, you want to say it this way: if height in inches is greater than or equal to 48 and less than 84. But that's not the way it works, because in an if statement, we don't have to compare height in inches. We could have another variable, string name equals Sam, and we say if the height in inches is greater than or equal to 48 and the name equals Sam, then you can ride. Or maybe it's a situation where you don't want Sam to ride, so it's a not situation. It's not equals to Sam. So if the height in inches is 48 and the name is not equals to Sam, then you can ride. Because we can compare two completely unlike things, then what we need to do when we do that comparison is to say the name of the variable again. So we'll say if height in inches is equal to greater than or equal to 48 and the height in inches is less than 84. So now we've got two different things that we're testing. We've got this expression we're testing, and we've got this expression we're testing. And the and tells us that both things have to be true in order to get into this statement. This has to be a true, and this has to be a true, and true equals true, and so the entire statement will be true. Okay? So if we compile and run this, then it's going to tell us we can ride because both conditions have been met. Now what happens if I get a height of 100? That's tall. How tall is that? 100 divided by 12. 8 feet and a third inches tall. So 8 feet, 4 inches tall, basically. At 100 inches, it tells us, sorry, you can't ride, because this condition was met. 100 is greater than or equal to 48, but this part of the condition was not met. 100 is not less than 84, and so because this part was false and we're using an AND, then that means the whole output is false because one part and the other have to be true in order for us to execute this statement. So that's why we jump to the else. All right. So that's ANDs. We use ANDs, and again, I could add another condition on here if I wanted to. I could say and some other condition has to be true. But it's nice to be able to take these conditions that we're looking at and tie them together. And not that it's bad to do a nested if statement, it just makes it maybe a little more difficult to read and to trace through the program, because you have to keep in mind, okay, where was I in terms of which if statement I came into, and then after that, now which if statement am I in and executing. So it gets a little more confusing that way. This is a very nice way of doing it, to tie these together using this AND logical operator. All right. Very good. Spencer out.